you everyone for giving me this chance to share my views, how to do the gonioscopy and when and how. I will try to summarize it as fast as I can. Why do we need to perform gonioscopy? It is a fundamental part of the comprehensive examination done initially for all glaucoma patients or the glaucoma suspect with the shallow chamber. It should be repeated periodically. I do repeat it yearly, and it helps not only for grading of the antechamber angle, but differential diagnosis of secondary glaucoma. In congenital glaucoma, also we do the gonioscopy on table, and it helps us in a proper diagnosis as well as giving the prognosis. It is also helpful in the assessment of the change in the angle morphology after LPI, and one should be master if he wants to do the laser trabeculoplasty. Various methods are there, indirect and direct gonioscopy, and indirect can be again modified into the indentation or dynamic gonioscopy and the manipulative gonioscopy. Various direct and indirect gonio lenses are available. Indirect gonio lens is very handy for the OPD purpose. One can use a 1, 2 or 3 mirror Coleman or the Zeiss 4 mirror. The 4 mirror gonio lens has a smaller corneal diameter, the base and the flat base, so the coupling solution is not required, and it is possible to indent the center of the cornea. But the disadvantage is sometimes it induces the compression folds. The one who is in a learning phase can have that folds more in the cornea, and the stabilization of the block is difficult. So the direct gonio lens is used mainly for the surgical aspect in the pediatric patients, and nowadays with a lot of MIGS coming up, one should learn to use the direct gonio lens. Now this is to show you the technique of how to do the gonioscopy. As I understand, a lot of junior doctors are there. Patient should be comfortably seated on the chair, and the room light should be dim. This is very important. And the illumination system and microscope are perpendicular to the pupil. Try to use the smaller slit in the beginning and the low magnification. Now pull the lower lid with your index finger, put the edge of the gonio lens in the lower edge, and then top it on the cornea. And now ask patient to look behind you at the distant object to avoid the accommodation. So, and first when you start, use the maximum height parallel to the axis of the mirror, vertical for vertical angle and horizontal slit on the horizontal angles. And avoid the entering the pupil, otherwise it will constrict the pupil and you will have an opening up of the angle. And this is how we can do the parallelopipe. I will discuss that in later part. So the angle is closed, and now on indentation, you can just push the iris away and you can see the opening up of the angle. Now the informational goal for the primary glaucoma is this angle open or closed in its natural position? If this angle closure is there, is this the synechial closure or the appositional closure? And if this angle is open, is this angle is occludable? So how do we interpret the gonioscopy? First, look at the angle structures which are visible, which decides the narrowness and openness of the angle. Look at the iris configuration, particularly peripheral part, and the pattern, which decides the occludability as well as syndromes and abnormal features like pigments, blood vessels, and exudates in the angle. So precise identification of the angle structure is shown in this slide. The first, that white glistening pointing line that you see is the Scholl baseline. The next to this is the pigmented and non-pigmented part of trabecular meshwork. And the white line posterior to that is scleral spur, and the gray zone that you see in the wide open angles is angle recess. And various classifications are available. It is your own way of doing it. The Spieth system gives you the angle width, site of iris insertion, as well as the peripheral iris curvature. This is how the iris insertion can be documented as A, B, C, depending upon the position of iris insertion. And look at the configuration of the iris, whether it is the convex configuration like this tip, or the regular, or it is square or the concave, particularly with the myopic eye or the pigmentary glaucoma patients. And then the measurement of the angle width is done looking at the where the iris is and the trabecular meshwork. It is shown in this. And then the visibility of the structure, how many structures you see, you decide the grading of the angle. Here the iris is directly in contact with the cornea, so this is grade 0. Here part of the meshwork is seen. It is grade 2. This is grade 3. Scleral spur is visible all throughout, and this is the gray zone visible, which is grade 4. Now, if there is an angle closure, then you can do the manipulative gonioscopy if you are not using the 4-mirror gonio lens. Over the heel phenomenon has to be used. Ask patient to look into the direction of mirror. For example, the mirror is superiorly, then ask patient to look up and then tilt the lens towards the center. That will allow light rays to enter the angle area. Now, indentation gonioscopy, as I said, it has a small corneal diameter and flat base. So it indents the center of the cornea, pushes aqueous into the periphery. So if it is oppositional closure, it opens up the, you can see the angle, but if it is permanent cynical closure, you cannot. So indentation or dynamic gonioscopy allow quick evaluation of the angle structure and enables us to differentiate how much is the angle closure. Now this is an example of close angle, nothing is visible. And then you indent and you can see the scleral spur is, or Schwalbe's line is here. This is the trabecular meshwork and iris being pushed back. So occludable angle, another example. And here you can see the patchy pigment, which is a sign of the previous intermittent angle closure. So another way of identifying is to make a corneal wedge. The anterior and posterior surface of the cornea is seen. It is there is an apex here. And the sclera and iris, they are opaque, and that's why it's a single line. So
can others please mute?
So this is how you
please
can
go
make
ahead,
the
madam.
apex where it is going. Here the apex is not seen and the iris line is seen. So this is a close angle, but this is a pigmentary glaucoma misdiagnosed as the enclosure. The Schwalbe's line is here. This is the part of the angle, and you can see the concave iris configuration. Now this is a typical example of the plateau iris configuration. Double arm sign is seen because of the anteriorly rotated. Now the PAS has to be differentiated from the iris surface. This is a wavy border. Intermittent angle is grade 2, and you can see the broad base synecia typical of the angle closure. Now this is the how I document all my cases. The posterior structure seen should be documented in this. It is ciliary body and the how much is the pigmentation of the meshwork and the configuration of the iris. These are the abnormal things that one can look for. Now this is also helpful in differentiating the variety of the pigmentation. This is a newborn angle. There is hardly any pigmentation. Here it is grade 1, just visible. And this is grade 3 with irregularity or patchy pigmentation. And this is the pigmentary glaucoma. Krukenbach spindles are seen, and the trabecular meshwork is fully covered with the pigments. And this is the Sampolis line that you see. So this is how one has to grade the angle. This is a post-operative inflammatory glaucoma, secondary glaucoma. You can see the black dots on the iris, and jet black pigments is covering the whole angle. That's why it was an intractable glaucoma in this patient. Now, lacy cord-like small processes are that of the iris processes should be differentiated from the goniosynecia, which are broad, tent up, and the taut, and they do not contract on the light. This is a single goniosynecia reaching up to the Schwalbe's line. So gripping angle closure is another variety. You can see the angle which has been closed with the patchy pigments. And this is the window getting blocked by the perisynecia. Now the traumatic glaucoma has to be differentiated. This is the actual angle and this is the recessed angle. You can see the gray zone here with the irregularity. And black ball sign is a sign of the previous IFEMA that is also seen in the inferior angle. Another case showing the angle recession, one has to document how much angle is being covered. Now pseudo exfoliation is the where there is a pigmentation which is more than normal, but it is patchy, but not as much as the pigmentary glaucoma, and one can see the dandruff kind of material in the angle. The window of the trabeculectomy is showing the packs. The normal blood vessels are solitary and do not arborize in the angle and never reaches the Schwalbe's line, while the abnormal vessels are fine superficial branching and arborization is seen, and eventually it pulls the iris into the angle and close the angle totally. Inflammatory glaucoma has to be differentiated from by looking at the iris pattern, and you can elicit the Amsler sign. If you are lucky, you can see the angle filling up while doing the gonioscopy. The tumors need the documentation, silicone oil. Now last slide, I will show you the childhood glaucoma, where there is an abnormal pattern of the iris in the periphery, mesodermal processes are seen. So we'll stop here as I have overshooted. Thank you very much.